7 hours later. It was too nice of a day outside. Anyway, now I'm going to review some board games. This is two from WizKids. Both of them are constructible card games. And I'm going to get to a third board game later, which I highly recommend. But since it's going to take up my entire table, I'm not going to show it to you today. Now, this is Pirates of the Spanish Main. You can see these constructible card games, and you build ships, of course, pirate ships. The ships come on cards like these. They have a description and something about the ship. They have stats, and then, of course, you build the ships. It's a boardless board game. You can use any flat surface, and basically both of the players have starting islands. You draft your ships. Each one has points. It's an 11-point ship. HMS Grand Temple, 15 points. And the basic point of the game is you have islands with gold, hidden treasure. And you move the ships, as it says on the cards, to the islands, and you pick up the treasure. When you have half the treasure back to your home island, you win the game. Yeah, it's pretty much that simple. Now, there are some complications to the game, which probably makes it not suitable for people that are not used to playing these kind of games. For instance, there's a fog bank. I have Saragossa Sea. I have an iceberg that moves around, and actually I was lucky enough to get a fort. It's a constructible card game. It's also destructible too. There are some ramming rules. Also, if you destroy all the mast off your enemy ship, you can actually tow it back and reclaim it as your own. Now, of course, that wouldn't be too exciting, just going out and getting gold, which is why you can attack your enemy ship. For instance, HMS Grand Temple, I see it has 6 guns. Each mast represents a gun, and each one has a color and a number. That represents the range and the probability that the shot will hit. And when you do hit an enemy ship, like this one, Victoria, your opponent will remove one of the guns, which of course represents one of the masts. So he will have one less gun. If you bring your ship back to your home island, you can repair, one per turn, a mast. So that's essentially it. It's actually a pretty fun game. It's got a few problems. For instance, since there's no board, the movement of this one is SS. So basically that is the short side of the card twice. So if I was going to move, I've got to get in here to the front of the ship, move it 1, and move it 2, like that. So anyway, it's kind of fiddly, and if you get somebody that cheats, well, then maybe they'll move it a little bit further. But other than that, it's not too bad, since you can practically play it anywhere. Now, there's some cool figures. For instance, I've got this water dragon. I also have, where is it? Is this it? The Interceptor? Yes, the Interceptor from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a fairly fast ship. Until it gets one of the masts blown off, then it's just pretty much slow. Now, another problem with this game is that it's a collectible constructible card game, which basically means that when you buy a pack of cards that has some ships in it, or some monsters or forts, that you don't know which ones you're going to buy. So, as in my case, I have 2 bloody jewels here. Well, it's not so bad if you know somebody else that plays the game. You can just trade ships off. It's sort of a plus because you have no idea what you're going to get, and you have just sort of a mix of everything. Or instead of wanting to go out and buy specific ships for specific things. Another problem I have with this game is that once you punch out the card, you have this looking thing that describes the ship. And of course it's got the big hole in it, and it's just not very pretty. So what I would like to do is to cut the bottoms off so you have just the description. Yeah, not too bad anyway. Oh, one other thing. You also have crew that you can put on the ships. Instead of buying ships only, you can buy crew to put on them. And this one, well, I don't know. It's a fairly complicated captain there for 7 points. That's pretty good. The bloody jewel only costs 6. The captain costs more than the ship. But anyway, the Pirates of the Spanish Main. Let's see, do I have any pirate ships? Yes, bloody jewel, pirate. Each ship, for instance, the East India Trading Company, here's a pirate ship. They all have allegiances, and of course, if you have captains that can only go on certain ships with certain allegiances. But anyway, that's this game. I think it's actually pretty cool. You can buy a few ships in and play it just about any time. Okay, on to the next game. Second verse, same as the first. Well, almost. Here we have Rocketmen, made by the same people. You see the ships, or sort of the old Flash Gordon TV shows, the old black and white ones. You both start at starting bases, the same as the islands, and you go around collecting. I have them all here. Instead of gold, you have ore. And of course, you bring back the ore. Now, it's slightly different in this game than the Pirates one, is that you're not trying to collect all the ore, you're actually trying to destroy all the enemy ships, which makes it a little bit more combat intensive instead of just running around. What the ore is good for is that when you draft your ships to play, for instance Templar, it will tell you that it requires 2 iridium and 1 carbon ore. And what you do is, if you say you have the overkill, I'm not sure which one overkill is, if you have it in play and it brings back the ore, and it dumps this much ore on your home island, then you can put that ship into play. The Templar, which is one of these. But anyway, so it's a little bit more strategic in that you can either attack or you can try to put more ships into play. But also it's a little different. When you had the ships, you had a certain amount of guns on them, and it was pretty much that way for the whole game. However, with the rocket ship men, you have these weapon pods. For instance, this is a blue one, and it is a shield pod. You also have the red ones. Oops, the red shield pods. Quite little fiddly pieces. So anyway, this ship can hold 4 pods. So it can have 4 guns or 4 shields. So a little bit of variations. You also, of course, have different ships. I was lucky enough to get a space station. You have these big cargo ships. The Oracle, a fairly good one, can hold lots. You can also have squadrons of ships, like these 3 Bloody Talons, I believe. And that's pretty much it. The cards look a little bit better than the Pirates game, and the ships have a description of them on their bases, unlike the Pirates. One other thing, the crew. Instead of having the crew like you did, just laying around and say, well, this crew goes on this ship, you actually have a small crew. This is a rocket engineer. He actually fits on the base of the ship. So if the ship is lost, he is lost also. It also tells you he can carry 3 crew. Some crew is actually torpedoes, and of course you shoot them into the ships. Now you notice that I have a map for this game, and I was just trying it out. It's basically, instead of using the card, which has the movement and the range of the guns on it, you got to measure, I simply used the dots on this grid in place of it, and it does pretty much speed up the game. Also, I had fun. I made these styrofoam balls to represent asteroids, so you can actually dock like that to the asteroid. So these are 2 games. This one's kind of hard to find. The Walmart had the Pirates at Ocean's Edge. It had a tin that came with quite a few ships. That was pretty nice. So you can find it pretty easily at Toys R Us, Walmart. But Rocket Ship Men, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I got these. I think I ordered them off of Amazon or eBay or something. Anyway, not too expensive, a little fiddly. You probably won't break these, but the masts, if a kid is trying to put in there and you force them because you take the mast in and out, then you'll probably end up breaking at least a few masts. So if you want Pirates, that's pretty cool, or Rocket Ship Men for a little bit more strategy, I recommend this game. If you don't have a constructible card game, then I would recommend one of these 2. And next time, we will be looking at these 5 humongous dragons that are, of course, slightly big using, I guess they could be space dragons or water dragons or whatever. Very fun game for next time. You can easily get this at Walmart, although I think some of these they don't sell there. You are going to love this game. But anyway, this Pirates, come on. Pirates, You gotta